Easy this time,
Shane.
Here.
Shannon.
Here.
Mike.
Here.
William. Doug. Here.
Here.
Shannon.
Okay, first item is the minutes of November 12th.
Make a motion. Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next item, Castle County Industrial Authority Program Support, $20,168.69. Anybody have any questions or it's noted in there, that's that railroad spur is what, raised the fee up on.
Yeah.
Make motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, Rockcastle County Development Board Program Support, 1209.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Solid Waste Report.
Motion. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Quail Report.
Yep.
Aye. You have a copy of the quail report? Oh, okay, alright.
During the, month of, November, they received $275 from the rent. They spent, $234.11 for utilities. And they had a balance at the end of November of $1,344.29.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next one, Jason Mabley, the Livingston Gym Report, he had $425 to turn in this month.
So, a plus. Good deal. Cause I see a minus in front of it, I was just wondering about,
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah, just,
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is reimbursement to Climax Fire Department, a $500 grant. Kentucky American Water stopped in, they gave, Climax Fire Department a $500 grant, but I guess in turn they had to give it to the fiscal court, and we'll just, pass it on to them.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright. Next item is Tourism Commission. Mr. Leach.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time to talk to us. I'm gonna drag Emily into this too. We are standing here to propose an idea that Neil Sluter has been talking about with folks for a while now, so you may have, some of you may have heard about it, but if you don't like it, don't shoot us, shoot him, we're the messengers. What the intention is, if you want to.
Okay.
Beach there, so
Listen, I'm used to city meetings, y'all. I didn't make enough copies. So,
that's all right, so the people that don't vote aren't that important, so.
well,
skip
who's
it.
I'm giving you one.
You can forget me and Shannon, we're alright.
I really made fun. I'm sorry. Here's you, Lloyd. Y'all can share. You want me to show on to these?
Yeah.
Okay. I can figure it out.
Alright, guys, what we're talking about doing, and, Neil couldn't be here, so he might have been able to tell you a little more about it, because the idea come from, the town where he grew up in Texas. But, we want to have a combination music festival and food truck, championship cook-off. We want this to become the home of the Kentucky State Food Truck Championships. We've talked to Jerry Carpenter about getting a resolution passed to do that, to make Rockcastle County the home of the Kentucky State Food Truck Championships, just like, Danville is home of the Kentucky State Barbecue Championship. He's on board. He said, you gotta get your event in place, but once you do that, we'll put a resolution through, getting you guys declared the, home of the state championships. That way other events that are popping up couldn't call themselves that. We'd be the one and only. The way these events work, is, there is prize money given out to the participants. That's, that prize money comes from donations from local business. So they sponsor a food truck, either partially or full. So you'd like a $500 sponsorship, will sponsor a full food truck, or you can split those up between two companies or whatever. That money goes strictly to the prize money to go back to the trucks themselves. Where they make their money and what gets them here is you have this music festival event bringing people in. So they sell their product to the people with the caveat that they can't sell any liquid. So the drinks will be sold by tourism and the Hall of Fame. So they'll be the exclusive vendors of whether it be soda or whatever at the event. And then at the end of the event, there will be a paid concert. The rest of the event's free, but at the end of the event, regardless of which way we go there will be a paid concert where admission will be charged. We're talking about holding it at Renfro Valley there in the big field behind the Baymont Inn. What we're asking for from you guys is some upfront money for us to get started with it. We have already made contacts with our insurance company about event insurance. With any outdoor event, you know, you got concerns that it may rain, whatever the case may be. We're looking at a Labor Day weekend event. But having event insurance to ensure that we at least make our initial investment back. So the only thing that we could possibly be out in the worst case scenario is the premium for the event insurance. So they gave you a couple options there. You can see the numbers. If you got any questions, I'll be happy to ask them. We were talking about having a 2-day event is what we would really like to do. It's gonna be
That's the
expensive.
bottom one on your paper.
It's gonna be expensive, but again, with the caveat that the only thing we'd be out would be the insurance premium, which we're still working on the
I've
exact
talked to
quote,
them,
but
but they
we're
have not gone back
ballparking
to
it at
me yet.
$15,000 to $20,000 for the $300,000 roughly event.
Seems like a high risk to me.
Well, that's where the event insurance comes in. There is the possibility that we could lose some money for the insurance premium policy. I think that overall, the possibility for success is pretty high. Yes, it is a high-risk event. Our neighbors over in Pulaski County do a high-risk event every year as well, called the Master Musicians Festival.
Yeah.
At this point, it's grew to the event where it employs about 60 people year-round just planning for next year's event. It is a multi-million-dollar event, and yes, I do agree, there is some risk involved.
Yeah.
But there's no reward if there isn't any risk either. So we could put on a $5,000 event down there, a $500 event, but we will get to a certain extent what you pay for there. We
Yeah.
put on $2,000 events this year, in that we put on a haunted house down there, and we put on a burgers and bluegrass and bourbon event down there. And we kept those low budget, and they ended up low budget. They were all good events,
Yeah.
but they don't do what tourism is supposed to do.
Yeah.
They didn't put anybody in hotels, they didn't bring anybody from out of county. But the people from the county that went and enjoyed the events, they were nice events.
Yeah.
But they're not doing what we're supposed to do. So what we are asking to be able to do is put on a regional, multi-state drawing event to actually bring people here. And you do that with, unfortunately, if you're gonna do a concert, you're gonna do that with a $100,000 plus act.
Yeah.
That's gonna cost us to book that. And that's what it's gonna take to draw, and we put 10,000 there. I think that's a bit conservative. I think you'll have that many at the concert, not counting who comes to the food truck event if you have that type of name. Now, a caveat, and we put down some basic numbers now.
Yep.
We'll come back to you guys as we move forward if you're willing to support us on it and give you more hard-nosed numbers like what the insurance premium is gonna cost and all of that. We just wanted some directions before we started on that to see if you get, I mean, if you're not gonna help us at all, then we understand, no hard feelings, but we'll stop at our planning process and not move forward. if you say, hey, maybe we're on board, but it may be for this smaller amount, then we'll adjust accordingly, come back with some numbers. If y'all are in favor of us really trying to do something to bring people into the county to get an event that is recognized state and nationwide, then we'll plan that accordingly, come back and then get y'all's approval before we take any further steps.
What's the guarantees on the profit on this, though, what I'm trying to say?
Well, the guarantees on the profit, of course, are zero. Because, you know, there are no guarantees.
Right.
But I think if you look, like, one of the events we're talking about getting Tyler Childers. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Tyler Childers. But big name country act who is from Kentucky, but he's $100,000 act to book. He's selling out arenas with 25,000 people in. People travel
down there too.
Yeah, so it's not, I don't think that if we get that large level of event,
Yeah.
it's not going to be hard to get people here.
The reason I was asking, if you say profit of 42,950 up top and 87,300 on the bottom, you know, that sounds pretty good, you know, but
Yeah.
it ain't no
Well,
guarantee to get
I,
that.
in all honesty,
I
no,
want
there's not,
numbers
and
out
those
of
are,
Korean, 'cause I don't know.
those are pretty rough numbers, by the way, too.
Very rough.
I will tell you a couple of concerns I've got about the smaller scale event. We've contacted 2 different acts that we thought if we went to small scale, how we would go.
Right.
Well, the problem with that is that when you spend less money, I think you're gonna get a lot less draw for a concert. The two of the 3 acts we had called for a possible small scale event, Renfro already had booked them for a 1,400 seat venue. So I think that indicates that for $30,000, we might be shooting a little high for 4,000 people at the concert. You may have 4,000 people total. But also, a lot of your expenses are gonna be the same regardless of what you pay for the act. So, yes, the $100,000 act's gonna require a little better stage and stuff like that, but that stuff's still gonna be there. The 2-day event's not gonna cost you a lot more to have a stage for 2 days. And we threw out some numbers there that I think are a little high on the 2-day side of that. But I think we could really build something here that is recognized statewide, would be a good, high quality event. Food trucks in general are becoming exceptionally more popular. I don't know if you guys follow any of that or not, but there's at least 2 or 3 places that are starting to have food truck events here. Louisville has one. Somerset had one this year that went pretty well as well. So I think we're in a position, if we get on this before somebody else does, that we could get something here that will actually accomplish what tourism set out to do, not be a huge burden on you guys, like I said, other than the upfront event. I think we can assure you that we can, once we get the insurance premium or policy in place, we can even make the city and the county joint beneficiaries in that, where the money didn't even come to tourism if there's a failure, it just went straight back to you guys. So, I really think we could make something nice out of it. If you guys got questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them. But I really think that we would be better off if we did go with the large one if we're gonna do it.
Oh, yeah, then people come in and promote for
Yeah.
it. I mean, what's tickets a piece to a Tyler Childers concert?
Depending on, of course, size and venue, but
$30 a piece?
all more.
So you sell
I think
10,000 tickets,
We budgeted $35.
Now, an outdoor concert would be a little
We
cheaper
put
probably, but if you go to
35.
see Tyler Childers at Rupp Arena or something like that, you're gonna be paying $50
I
for
think about
that.
that for my tickets, so
Yeah,
that's what I mean, $30 a piece for an outdoor concert.
Yeah.
it's cheap,
Cheap,
and then our plan would be,
that's
if we're gonna have him
300,000,
anyway,
Yeah.
10,000
Yeah.
tickets.
if we're gonna have him in, and I think 10,000 is a low number for Tyler
You
Childers.
can fill that whole parliament now through there.
Yeah, parking would be an issue, we've thought about, we've got some plans for
Logistics.
parking, and we're gonna, we're gonna have to show some people too, but we've got some ideas for that. It also, what we didn't include in those potential profits, and like I said, for the large event, we wanted to be conservative, we don't wanna tell you guys that we're gonna make millions on it, and I doubt we will make millions, but I certainly think we can actually make more than $80,000.
Yeah.
I think you can double your cost, if you can't double the cost of your act with ticket sales, then you shouldn't have the act.
Right.
So I don't think there'll be any problem there getting $250,000, $300,000 just in ticket sales. And of course, we want those to go on sale pretty quick, and they would start selling. So, you know, you'll have a lot of your tickets sold before the event comes along. So the only way your event insurance for the ticket sales, for the concert comes in place is if you don't have it. So if it pours the rain and we play anyway out there, cause the stage is gonna be covered, it's you come or you don't, you know. But if the artist cancels, then your event insurance will kick in.
Well, if it's like Master Musician Festival, you guys can start selling like 5 or 6 months in advance, so that's
Yeah.
what you're thinking about, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we would need half of the cost of, when you book an act, you generally pay half up front and half after the show. So we would need to be fronted the half up front because we frankly don't have the money, as you guys know, we've complained before. But, and enough that I'm sure you got tired of hearing it. But once we get those ticket sales coming in, we wouldn't need the entire $300,000 that we're talking about spending from you guys. Some of that could be paid for with the ticket sales as they start coming in. We would just need to be able to book the act, get them, and start planning it from there. And in those profit totals, that doesn't include the other benefits that people would see, like your hotels will be booked,
Gas stations,
the restaurants, gas stations, all
And
that
I-
stuff that'll benefit from it.
I have talked to some other tourism directors in the surrounding counties that do large events, and they do economic impact studies on their events. And if we can get the right volunteers for that, we're gonna try to do that as well. So we can come back to you all with numbers at the end of it and say, hey, here's where we think all this money went through the whole community.
This is our hard profits, what we can account for with cash in hand.
Yeah.
But we also think we put this much money in local business pockets.
Yeah.
And y'all just asking for upfront money to give back, it's not like you asking to say, hey, this.
Like I said, I think the only possibility where you don't get 100% of your money back is if we do have to file an insurance claim and the cost of the premium wouldn't be covered by the insurance claim.
Yeah. So we'd be at 20,000.
Well, and we're actually asking the city to split the cost as well. So I'm anticipating your guys' cost would be
Half of what.
half of the premium, so I'm guessing 10 or less.
Who covers the fireworks? What insurance? I mean, I know it's gotta be high risk.
Well, that's liability insurance. This is a different type of insurance I'm talking about. We'll certainly need liability insurance as well. But the liability insurance, yeah, but you'll need a rider of it. But the liability insurance, the premium for it could probably will even be covered by this event insurance. And event insurance just, you take out an insurance policy that ensures that nothing prevents your event from happening. So you can put, like, we could actually, if we said we wanted event insurance to ensure we make $250,000, well, you can do that, but of course that costs more than just covering your cost.
Right.
You know, if we did $200,000, we could do $2 million if we thought that's what our profit margin was going to be. But your policy just costs more, right? So,
Probably cost you $2,010,000.
yeah, right. So, but that would be, again, that's what we're looking at. I really think we can do good things, and I think that if we're going to do events down there, we ought to try to make them events that really do bring people into the county.
I agree. Me too.
Anybody got any questions? Oh, Shannon said he'd provide all security at no cost. I don't know if he mentioned that yet or not, but he did tell me.
We will help.
I'm sure you would. In all honesty, a lot of the labor we do expect to get volunteered, with the caveat that the volunteers, the way the event there does it, the volunteers get a voucher for food in any of the food trucks. They'll get an event t-shirt, and then they get the concert. You know, they get admission to the concert at no charge. There's a lot of people be willing to work down there for admission to a Tyler Children's concert or whoever we get that's on that level.
I would.
Yeah, see, Jeremy's already volunteered.
I'm not giving.
I'm just right here, right here, look at it.
I really, I mean, I know who he is, but I'm a little, I like older music, so, but now,
Get Chris Stapleton and I'll work.
I think Chris might be a little high, but I'm working on it.
We can double that number on that.
It's your all's checkbook.
He's like, okay.
You know, I remember when they had George Jones outside concert down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, we do intend to do other acts as well that are free to help draw
Through the
people in
day,
for the
yeah,
food
through
truck
the day and
competition.
stuff, yeah.
But like the one in Texas, they have what, 40-some food trucks?
Last past time they had 52.
52 food trucks from all over the
10,000
country.
people.
10,000 people at the food truck event itself, not counting the concert they had afterwards that is a paid event, but again on the same scale. The food truck event is free, but we make money off selling them concessions. We also have talked with one of the alcohol distributors there, and they're talking about the possibility of one of the major alcohol people sponsoring it to the tone of about $50,000 if we go with the large scale event. So. Well, and we really are not
We need
dead
a third.
set on Tyler Children.
That $1 million.
But we were looking at somebody in that tier. And honestly, I don't know exactly what Chris would charge.
I would
I'm
think
guessing
more than
probably
that.
close to $250,000.
I'd say quarter, please. They're very
Went wrong business.
Retro Valley
I
had
would
the
wanna be in that
opportunity last
business.
year, and I actually thought it was a mistake on their part. But Retro had an opportunity to get Willie Nelson last year on his birthday. It was gonna cost them $100,000. But that left them, if they'd sold tickets at like $80 in that 1,400 seat arena, they would have made a $20,000 profit on the concert plus
It's
what
like
they sold.
river bend, you can feel people bring a blanket and a chair and
Yeah.
fill that whole valley, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those
Feel
regular
it.
shine tickets, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like it. Hey, these other maybe won't think about it and stuff, but I'm all for it.
What do you ask for 75,000?
That's what we were actually, to do the large scale event, we're asking for an upfront of that. The event will cost more than that, but we're asking for upfront from you
Get that
guys
back,
To
right?
get us going, yes.
to be paid back, like I said, with the caveat, and once we get an idea of what scale event we're having and we can get some specific numbers, I'll come back to you guys and let you know what the event insurance is gonna cost as well specifically. We'll actually get a rider, a quote for it, and bring it back, let you know, then you know what your maximum out of pocket would be.
We don't get Renfro Valley back on the map, do things, we need to do stuff like this. And we might
They bring a lot of people.
bring a lot of people down there.
They never give y'all some funds to work with then too.
Yeah, and that's the idea, of course, once we get
Ideally,
this
it gives
done,
you
we
enough
want
to do it
to
again next year instead
do
of
it again
something
next
like
year,
that.
and then also offset the cost of an induction ceremony, just so you all know, we're also planning one of those. We're gonna do another induction ceremony probably in January of 2021. And we're talking with Renfro about that, we're gonna do it like we did last year at a little lower cost.
Just one day.
Yeah,
One day.
so, and we're not asking for anything for that today, I just wanna let you guys know that was out there.
We will be back. No.
So, can I, without getting, I mean, I know you guys may not wanna commit to 75 today, but can you all give us some guidance on, is it okay for us to proceed on maybe planning for the larger scale one? And then come back with more details?
I'm all about it myself.
I like to look at your van insurance and see what the risk
Makes
is.
perfect sense, so do I.
Yeah. We don't wanna do anything if we can.
Table it all and us discuss and everybody look up and
Before June
think.
the 30th?
Yes, we will actually need to, we'll need to be booking, those top tier acts pretty quick, especially for a Labor Day weekend event, cause they'll be booking them quick. So,
What's your all's goal? I mean, since September, so we're looking at Labor Day.
Labor Day weekend, if we do we're talking about, Friday, or Saturday and Sunday for the 2-day event. And then that way, if we go later with the concert on Sunday night, not an issue, because nobody really has to work, most people don't have to work that Monday morning.
Come back next,
Yeah.
January, come back next month.
Yeah, we will.
They can-
But I mean, companies are, we work toward planning the big one and then come back numbers on that, will that work?
That'd be fine.
Everybody, sound
Fine with me.
Suits me.
alright, We'll do
They
that.
don't have to get to vote, but
Yeah.
good idea.
Okay. Next,
Heck, yeah.
next item is Braxton Lane. We had to redo that back in December of last year. They took in Braxton Lane. They had a couple of easements drawn up on it, and they,
Is that Scotland County?
no, that's over there off of,
Sinking Valley, Sinking
Brown
Valley.
Springs Road, Billy Barron. They got an easement from two people that one of the people didn't own no property around the road. The first property owner didn't want the county getting onto their property, so, we went back, had to have everything redone. The Billy Braxton, he put in a cross drain in the road.
Billy Barron.
Oh, yeah, Billy Barron, Braxton Lane. And we scooted the road over to get off of the beginning of the road, England, who owns that property.
Who didn't want you to?
He
Ray
did.
England.
Yeah.
Ray England.
Yeah, so, everything got done. We had, Mr. Barron, he's the one that owns all the property, so he was the only one that needed to sign the lease. So he signed a lease on 15 foot of each side of the road, and it's for a distance of 360 feet. So if you're familiar with the road,
Yeah.
once you go past the two properties that goes off to the side of it, it ends to where the county can turn around and come back
Right.
out.
I think that's fair.
Made 360 feet clean. They signed the easement, so I mean, you know, it was approved back in December of last year, but it was just,
We were all just provided the wrong information on where the property line was.
so,
I'll make a motion.
they corrected it, so it's all on the.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright. The next, item here is the ambulance service is gonna submit a USDA grant for, $105,000 for an ambulance, a box type ambulance. Basically, this is just for information only. Instead of the ambulance service being able to do it on their own, it has to come through the fiscal court like the sheriff's department's vehicles that they get a USDA grant. So that, the ad board is gonna fix an application up, but it just has to come through the fiscal court.
Is it any matching funds?
Well, it's a 55, 45 grant. So the USDA is 55% of the grant, and the remainder of it, you know, when it gets to that point, if it gets approved or whatever, the ambulance service has got some funding that they can put in for it. And if the county wanted to do a cost share on it, or if they just need to finance the remainder of it, they're willing to do that through KCO and just make payments on it, whatever we need to do to get the final money. Cause it's a box instead of a van type, so it's $105,000. I was just gonna let y'all know
Yeah,
that
it's
that's,
good.
we was gonna, should I get a hold on it? Right at this point, that's all, I just wanted to update, I don't even know whether it'll go anywhere or not, so that's all that was for.
Let me ask you now, so somebody adds to do the paperwork for the county?
Yeah, it'd be for the fiscal court, yeah. So when it gets to that time, they ain't done it, I mean,
Yeah, then
you
you'll
know,
have to have.
then it'll cost.
Sign off.
Yeah, all that being, I mean, right now we ain't got nothing, I mean, it's just, I talked with her this morning about it, and she's going out of town for a few days, she's gotta go to CDBG grant training, so, she told me she would look into it later, and I told her that's fine, so that's all it is. No, if anything gets to a point, we'd just have it approved through a court meeting, but right now, I just wanted to mention that to y'all. Okay. Sheriff's Department.
Okay, first of all, I wanna before we get into the budget, take care of another item from our 2018 audits. We actually 4 separate accounts, 4 audits that are all complete. Remember back a few weeks ago, we gave you a check for excess fees of like $3,500. So the auditor is closing everything out, and the one check, he's, wanting part of that to come from a property tax account. So what had happened, we transferred fees to the fee account, wrote one check for it, and, it includes $874.37 that he's saying should have come from the property tax account directly. So what we're asking to do is give us back $874.37, and we'll deposit it into the property tax account, and we'll write it right back out to you as excess fees. It sounds ridiculous, but that's how he wants us to close our accounts.
I'll make the motion.
I second that.
So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
It's the new audits. Okay, for our 2020 budget, we put together these summary things, we can talk about these line items. Remember, I think we had brought up several weeks ago, Shannon was talking about a $1 hour increase for everybody. You got your copy? So, at that time, we had looked at getting this CAECO report and comparing salaries, and, we got that back, and we sat down and reviewed all of that, and basically from what we get from that, the road deputies are the ones that are most off, or, the biggest discrepancy that need, a higher increase. But in talking with everything, instead of, giving them $1 an hour increase and nobody else anything, we decided to give everyone a 50 cents an hour increase. So that's what this 2020 budget assumes, every employee 50 cents an hour increase. So, just notice William Leisure asked for 75,000, we're gonna ask for a lot less than that. It's only $7,500. So, if you look at the top is before our revenue, and the bottom is our, expenses. So our expenses on this bottom part is really drives what we need from, fiscal court. So, the deputies and clerk's salaries there, those deputies, that's just showing the 50 cents an hour increase, that 4160 down there. Of course, Shannon's is what we discussed, a 3% increase on his second year salary of the 2,000. The 1840 increase for all the others is really kind of a net of the increase. In this year's budget, remember last year we had 3 court security officers that we added. We thought they might hire for additional work, and they were offset in the reimbursement from the state from court security. So we've taken one of those out, so we've got 2 court security officers included in here. So that comes out, and then we're adding the increase and a little more hours for those that we expect if they are hard, they work a little bit more outside of the actual courtroom. So there's a little difference there. But another big item, of course, besides payroll, the total payroll is 8,000 increase from 19 to 20. The other big line item is $10,000 on fuel, and fuel's really gone up this year. Through November, we spent $41,000 on fuel, so we expect to spend $45,000 this year on fuel. So that's another big driver. But that makes up that $17,500 increase. I guess the good news is we're able to offset some of that ourselves. We're taking in more property tax, more commissions. So from delinquent tax and commissions, we're expected to gain about $6,000. The serving summons, the rate went up on that, so we're doing better on that. We should collect about $4,000 more next year on the summonses. CCW fees, those are going down, and this 6,500 may be a little optimistic, it may be less than that.
Probably pretty optimistic since constitutional carry has gone through now, that's probably, I would expect the bottom to drop out of that, to be honest.
So, I mean, that may be exposed a little, but we're gonna be running around 7,000 or something like that this year, so we're gonna be close to that, so that's one item we'll have to watch. Another plus, we've got a couple of grants coming in. One we got this year, and we're gonna be getting two for this $8,000 to help pay overtime for road units. So that helped us offset some of the expense this year, those grants. So of the 17,500, we came up short. We're able to cover 10,000 of it, and we're short $7,500. We're asking for an increase in 2020 from 2019. So down in the very middle there, that shows the monthly support going up from 15,860 to 16,485. So that's giving every employee a 50-cent raise and covering these extra costs for $600 more a month.
The rest of the county workers don't get no raise, they gonna be upset. We got about 70, 80 employees, we have to. In the past, we were upset when we didn't get one, and they did. Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah.
I think there's just a few employees got a raise without everybody getting raised up. No, it's been some years back, okay, I'm talking about some years back.
Yeah.
There's a few that got them,
I mean, we don't have to take a vote on this tonight, this is just more for information.
Well, we'd like to get the budget approved by the end of the year, so we
Right.
don't get into January and start having to,
Correct,
you know,
I mean,
all of that, so if we can.
I figured that we'd just have another meeting next week or something.
Well, what do you think about this, Judge?
Well, I just thought we'd just table it and go over it, because, I mean, just like you were saying, I mean, you know, we got a lot to take in consideration when you get to talking about raises, cause I mean, you know, any increase comes out of the county general fund, so I mean,
Yeah.
that's the same place that our employees get their money from, so you know,
What's the hourly rate for the deputies right now?
Right now, it's around $14.25 an hour, I think, and this would put them $14.75.
Now, is the cliff pay on top of that, or does that
Yes.
include cliff pay?
Be on top
And is
of
that, what's that an hour?
About $2 or something now,
It's
$2.40.
about 240.
Yeah.
That only, that's,
What's that, cliff pay?
Cliff pay would.
If there's
federal funding that pays for certified deputies, of the four that we have,
Comes
road only
straight
three
through
that
the
qualify.
state, so, that's at the very top up here, the state, funds that for us. Depending
Oh, I see.
on the number of deputies, so we get up to about 18.5 a year.
How many deputies are you figuring into this?
There's 4 full-time deputies,
Road deputies?
road deputies, yes.
So you don't have 4 right now, though, do you? You got 2?
Well,
Got
we
three
got
right now.
3,
I mean,
and
Bill's
we've got
retired.
1,
Bill's expected to retire January 3rd.
and we're gonna be looking for 1 more, right?
Yes, we'll be looking for one more, and we got one that's, we're doing a background check now, his, vetting process has gone out to where he's working past the physical test, the POPS test, which is a police officer's physical standards. And then they're doing the background check now, so that he can go to the academy.
How long has it been since they've had a raise? How long, when was the last time?
I'm not for sure, I
It was
know there
2
wasn't
years ago,
anything last year.
everybody got a raise.
2016.
Across the board.
2 years ago.
Last year, probably.
15.
Yeah.
17.
No,
See.
it's 16. It was in 16.
It was closer to the end of
Yeah, I ended the term.
judge's last term,
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah.
Might have been 17, because it was close.
See, it was, I told you.
It's not been that long, because everybody
2
had worked.
years.
Yeah, because
Which would be
Tony's
2 and a
done
half.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Let,
Me and Joe was right.
we'll do it next week.
Okay.
And then we'll take it.
And that, of course, the maximum salaries that goes with it went up like to 182, so it's 180 now, we make that 185. Usually round it, so that'd be the other document that goes with it.
Okay, alright.
So you wanna table it then? and
Yeah,
have a meeting? We're gonna have another meeting next week, right?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
we'll take care of everything.
I'll second that.
Alright. Thank you. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So that's the one we did this next one,
You can't, that's
Alright.
what you say that.
Okay, administrative codes, the next item. Made some changes on it. One of the changes, I'll have to wait till Nathan gets back, because, where it says scope of coverage, it looks like the county, employees that is exempt from this coverage is the clerk's office, sure, y'all have your own administrative code, don't you?
Okay, the sheriff's office.
Yeah, the administrative code, or y'all? Oh, okay, the jail, and the clerk, but we still got the jail in this one, and I just need to get up with Nathan to see if we need to remove the jail from our administrative code, since they're supposed to have them. And all of the changes is in bold letters. The next one's on page 11, it's just talking about the uniform, some background checks on new hires, and, next one is on back on page 14, personal time, that PTO time, putting a cap on it at 200 hours, and at their, anniversary date, if they got over 200 hours, they automatically get paid the difference to bring them back down to 200 hours.
That's 5 weeks,
It was 180, and we just rounded it off to 200.
You say everything that's changed is in
In
parentheses?
bold.
Oh, in bold?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, bold letters. And then on the back part of it, chapter 9, there's just a procurement policy been added to it that we never had. And then another, I've got Jeremy that's gonna review it, him and Joe's gonna look through we need to put an internet and email policy into this. So they're under review right now, and that part will be added to it, whichever one. We've got 2 of them that's been presented, so they're gonna review to see, which one to go with. And that there is just for y'all's review. I don't want no action or nothing on it today. I mean, we'll revisit it next month as far as that is. I just didn't wanna throw something out there and ask you to vote on it, so you can take it home. Look good if you wanna add something, make a change to it. There's, I don't remember what that document was called, but there's another document that we, might be looking at adding into this as far as when we come
It's
back.
basically the employee handbook, right, how.
Yeah, and, there's also, there will be a page on the back of it that every employee, once we approve it, gets an updated version of it. That way they have to sign off on it.
Yeah.
And that way they can't come back and say, we didn't know that. Right, any new hires,
I
we
get
get
it
it.
every year. Have to sign it like that.
Oh, I see that there.
Oh, they have, that's fine, that's just for their review too. Y'all got, a
Road
listing
department.
of job descriptions for down at the road department. That's just something other, to look at. Did they all get a copy?
Yeah.
Everybody has a copy of them. That there's just another thing for y'all to review. It's just a breakdown of each job description that's down at the road department. And that there's just information. Take it home with you, and extra time or something, you wanna look at something, you can look through it. Got any questions, just make notes or whatever, and we'll look at it the next time we meet together.
Okay.
Next item, is personnel. There was a gentleman stopped by here first of the month, dropped off an application that was interested in a mechanic position. He's from Pennsylvania, he worked for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. His wife got a job in Lexington, and he said it was just too good of a job to pass up, so they relocated, bought some property over on Little Clear Creek. They live over there at the 37-acre farm. He currently now works at, it used to be Northside Farm Equipment, New Holland, Kubota dealership. It's called Derby now, I think is what it's called. He works there as a mechanic, so.
He probably all raised that power plant, right?
So, that's his application. He came in and met with, me and Corey the other day. I mean, he seemed like he was a pretty knowledgeable person. He's worked on, I mean, that's what he done for the Department of Transportation in Pennsylvania, so, he's got the background behind him, so, I was just gonna, Lonnie, ever since I've been in, he's wanted to step down, so I went down, talked with him just to make sure it was all, and he said he was good with it. He understands, good that he'd take a pay cut. When that ended, he's gonna work with this fellow for a few weeks just to show him where everything is, the ins and outs of it, and then he said he had no problem stepping down.
60-day trial or 6-month trial?
Yeah, that's 60 days. Yeah, 60-day probationary
He
period.
said he had CDL, what, he was updated with a physical?
Well, he said he's gotta go take his physical, but it's still, he said the physical just run out here just a little bit ago, he hasn't took it yet, but he's still got time to do that, he said.
Just for the diesel mechanic job, what you're saying?
Man, I mean, he's just he's diesel,
Changing tires,
gas, tractor,
anything.
I mean, right, that's what he's done for.
Kind of a utility type guy.
So, like I said, it'd be a 60-day probationary period.
Is he the only person applied to this job?
I mean, that's had any experience.
And that's with Rufus staying.
Yeah, well,
for 60
Rufus,
days.
yeah, I mean, Rufus will work there with him, I mean.
What you think about starting out at?
$15 an hour.
15?
I'll make a motion, alright.
So,
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
what's his name?
Sean Zipman, what looks like to me.
At $15 per hour start now.
Yeah. And this is,
Hopefully, financial second.
Zegman?
Excuse me.
Zegman?
In the month of November, in the general fund, there were a total of $368,230 deposited, $441,656 expended. The balance at the end of November is $28,664. Road fund, $138,547 deposited, $860,213 expended. The balance at the end of November is $41,715. Detention center, a total of $118,388 deposited, $144,873 expended, balance at the end of November is $3,698. LGA, $55 deposited, $25,578 expended, balance at the end of November is $8,107. Forestry fund, $977 deposited, with no expenditures, balance at the end of November is $2,089. Federal funds, $72,871 deposited, $76,871 expended. The balance at the end of November is $500. 911, total $120,883 deposited, $42,886 expended. Balance at the end of November is $97,715. CSET, total $114,882 deposited, $89,538 expended, balance at the end of November is $46,986. Fairgrounds, there's no deposits, $309 expended, balance at the end of November, $7,131. LEPC fund, there was $73 expended, balance at the end of November, $556. Occupational tax account, there was $212,942 deposited. There was no expenditures, total balance at the end of November, $482,577. There was no activity in the anchor account, there's a balance of $6,210. We need to put that close to that account. We'll like that. Microfoodery account, total $4,813 deposited, and that's what the balance is at the end of November, $4,813. Parks and Rec Board, there was $450 deposited, no expenditures, balance at the end of November, $4,399.
They paying their payments, Joe,
Excuse me?
microfooder.
Yes, that's what that amounts to, that's interest only, that's 3 months worth of interest.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
When are you gonna start paying attention?
Not until April.
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is claims.
Like I've got a lot of APS bills on the road.
Total road is $242,000.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The jail's got terrible amount of claims, but they got their year-end payment, their December payment, which is $86,000 on it.
Need a second reading. Next is the second reading of budget amendment number 1. Increasing the receipts of the general road detention center LGA CSEP funds by a total of $46,400.84. In the general fund, Parks and Recreation is increased by $500. Prior year carryover is increased by $19,895.76. Transfers to other funds was increased by $110,779. Transfers from other funds, $55,000. In the road fund, truck license refund was increased from $25,988.62. Driver's license refund of $2.25. And transfers from other funds total $75,000. In the detention center, prior year carryover, $2.25. And transfers to other funds was increased by $55,000. Miscellaneous revenues, LGA, $11.96. And the CSEP transfers from other funds is $35,779.
Right.
So in the general fund, there's actually a negative $35,383.24. Road fund, an increase of, and these are all reserve and transfer accounts. Reserve and transfer in the road fund of $100,990.87. Decrease in routine medical by in the jail fund by $54,997.75. LGA, increase in reserve transfer by $11.96. And NCSEP, increase in reserve transfer $35,779.
Need a motion on that? Get a second? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Same thing.
We got a payroll finance.
Are we done?
Transfer.
Now, I said, are we done? We didn't get there.
We gotta juggle some money.
Ain't got a $28,000 in the general fund, we gotta have
You gotta
money
turn
in
that
there.
page 3, where that's where.
400,000, we're gonna have
Savings
to.
accounts at. LGA, is currently, according to Patricia's records, in the hole of $3,738. That includes all the bills, right? We got 2 payrolls left this month,
We won't get the quarterly until next month.
January, probably.
Yep.
So, what are you looking at?
How much is that?
Negative, no, 34, 30, 15.
15?
So, from the general fund, LGA, $15,000. It only gets worse from there.
Which one's gonna get worse?
Which one of them you got?
Well, you know, let's see how much you're gonna do for jail. You got 50,000 on top of that 80, so that's 130.
Oh, this is general fund.
We get some of that road money